G'day guys. Today I just want to talk you through a slideshow of images and a little bit of video that I've been saving during a custom build project of mine. This is a hard body custom build, and it's top chopping my Jeep Comanche MJ. The project here involves only the body you see in the image. The rear cage and the chassis don't form part of this project. The body for these comes in three pieces. The main body piece comprises the front clip and the doors, the window frame, and a little bit of structure up there in the roof area. The other part is the rear window frame and the roof panel. Now, all these parts I need to put together, secure them, align them, make sure the gaps are tight, make sure the panels are flush where they need to be, and have a solid cab before I get a saw to it. Before I went any further, I took a number of images. We'll have a look at those, and I took them into a image program, Paint 3D or something, and I was able to manipulate them and give me an idea of what I was trying to achieve and how it might look at the end of the day. So this is obviously side view, and the masking tape on the A-pillars and the rear of the door frame and the rear window panel indicates the material that's going to be removed, and that's 10mm tape, and 10mm is a scale 4 inches, and that's what we're doing. We're chopping the roof 4 inches. Again, before getting physical with it, I took a number of measurements, and I measured through the rear window panel and the front windscreen at a number of points to get top to bottom measurements. I also determined that the rain rail here at A was parallel with the top of the window frame in the door, and also with the bottom of the window frame and the door. They're also all parallel to the bottom of the door. All these measurements I was going to use later to make sure that I had correct alignment of the components, and that at the end of the day it will look like it was supposed to be. I knew the rear area of the chop was going to be the one that I'd need to pay most attention to, and that's because of the 3 different angles for parts here. You see the inside of the rear door frame and the outside of the rear door frame and the rear window panel. So moving the roof down vertically 10mm, we would be hoping that the front edge of the A-frame at point A would meet up with the front edge of the A-frame at point B. But as shown by the black lines, which are the vertical path downward of point A, and the inside edge of the door frame, A and B were not going to meet up without more work to be done. This is typical of any top chop where the roof supports are not vertical. Not only in the side profile, here I've manipulated the image, and you can see that I've got the front edge of the A-pillar lined up quite nicely. Inside of the window opening is also lined up. But you can see in doing that I've really got some fair dinkum misalignments at the back here. This image shows that I've now got a correct alignment of this gap between the rear of the door frame and the rear window panel. But that was only achieved by cutting through this area here. So a cut through the roof from one side to the other, a cut through the rain rail up there, and a cut through the top of the door frame here on both sides. Although I've got a nice alignment along here, I have some minor misalignment on the rear face of the rear window panel, indicated by the blue arrow there, and also on the inside of the rear door frame, indicated by a blue arrow there. From the front looking to the rear, this is the other typical misalignment you find when doing a chop where the roof supports are not vertical. And so in bringing this roof down vertically, we see this point here on the A-pillar should meet with this point here on the A-pillar, but the black lines tell us that that's not going to happen without further work. So I've manipulated the image again, and I've sectioned the rear window panel and the roof along here to move these edges into alignment, and that's achieved by cutting this section out of here. So we need to cut through here, through the bottom of the rear window panel, and here through the top of the rear window panel, and we also need to make a cut out of the roof from here right through to the front of the roof. So at this point in time, once these cuts are made, we will have a roof in 4 pieces. There are very minor misalignments here because this simulated moulding around the rear window has a slightly different angle to the outside, and so it leaves us with a little bit of misalignment there. The blue lines indicate where I might make slices to assist with adjusting the rear window mould, but they're very, very minor. I might get away with a bit of putty there. So I mark up either side of the masking tape. Experience tells me that when you cut along masking tape, it gets a bit ragged, and your lines may not end up correct. Make the marks and then take the tape off, and you've got a good sharp line with the marker pen. the A-pillars cut, the rear of the door frame, the rear window panel cut. As you can see here, we've made the cut through the window frame and right through the roof to the back, and this was done when the roof panel was still on there. I've lined up the A-pillars because I believe they were going to give me the best shot at working off them and getting everything toward the rear correctly aligned. Because as we see in an image earlier, there's some different angles involved here in the rear of the door frame and the rear window panel. I wanted to work off these, and they're now in position and their edges are correctly aligned. I've tacked them with some CA glue. I'm going to wait for a while for that to set up, and I've clamped it in place. Once that's set up okay, I'll come back on the inside. I'll add more CA glue with a bicarb soda mix, and that'll create a good strong bond there. Here we see the chop we've done so far, sitting alongside a stock roof. This is my MJ 6x6 body, and you can see from that how aggressive the chop's been. We're bringing all our roof components together, and you can see here the the A-pillars are set in place and they're nicely aligned. And once I did that, I was able to position the 4 sections of the roof and the rear window panel. Now, the rear window, rear window panel and the rear door gap here, that body panel has been welded up with CA glue and bicarb soda mix. The roof panels have been secured in place with the same weld process. The roof also has been secured to the top of the rear window panel there, and it's also been secured to the top of the windscreen frame there. That gap along there and the gap we see along here, which is stock, that's okay, but they'll be filled. I'll tidy them up. We need a filler panel through the roof here, and we need filler panels here through the rear window panel and the rear door frame, and also in the top of the door frame here. Now you can see that as I went along, I decided that two things. I had to offset, or I wanted to offset this cut here through the upper door frames and this cut here through the roof, and that was to give me a bit more strength in the end product. If I had this cut over the top of that, like we saw in the images earlier, I've got a repair from one side of the body to the other, involving a number of different pieces, and they're all in a line, and that's not the way to go for the most strength. So I set it back here. Now the other thing is, number 2, I had to remove the ribs that were on the roof panel, because cutting through here and removing that section meant cutting through the middle of the ribs, and they were just going to be a nightmare to reproduce. I've decided at this point, my earlier idea or my earlier intention was to fill this with a slip I cut from a donor roof, but I've taken the roof ribs off, and now I can use some styrene sheet, form it into shape and fill this area. I do something similar along the back here, and I do some styrene in these gaps. Once I've got them in, of course, I've got to try and replicate the grooves in there, the gap here and the contours of the rear door frame, or the whole door frame. Got to replicate that through the pieces of styrene I use there, also through the rear window mould there. This is not aligned because it's not correctly fixed in the way it should be yet. These are the ribs I'm talking about that I've removed. It was a matter of a little bit of sanding, not too hard. And they sit on top of the roof surface. They're not pressed from underneath, so I wasn't taking away any material once I got to the level of the roof surface with them. This is another angle of the same setup. Now you can see here, this is a support I've glued in there, and that is a short length of threaded rod, stainless steel threaded rod, and I did the same on the other side, and that was to get things into position. I used clamps, I used a number of clamps, get things into position and provide some strength in this area for the final product. This is a similar view, and I'm starting to fill some of these gaps with pieces of styrene that I cut from a sheet. You can see that going forward there's going to be a bit of handiwork required here to get this all organised correctly. Progressed a bit further, and I'm getting some putty on the joins and repair areas. I've got to fill a panel in the roof, and I'm starting to work over those areas with putty. You can see one of the styrene filler blocks I put in there is starting. I've started to shape it to the contour of the upper door frame. This one I haven't worked on, I don't think, at this point. You can also see that accidentally I've applied a lot of bog there, and I've filled in the rear door gap. I'll have to then hand cut that later. A top view, and just to show a bit of the bodywork that's going on, and a bit of the filler that's required. Little bit more work done here, but reapplying filler. Yeah, it's a case of putty sand repeat for quite a while when you're doing this sort of work. It's shown here with my 6x6 and my Cherokee XJ there. They were both fairly reasonable bodyworking projects. a bit further and getting the roof to start looking pretty good there. You can see here that I still haven't finished shaping the filler blocks in the door frame there. This area here is still definitely not finished. I don't think I've even recut that groove yet at this point. The blue is a high build primer that I use. And here it is, basically where we're at with the project as of end of video. So we've got the April is looking pretty nice, where we've cut through the roof front to back is all fixed up. You can see at the back here the structure that was within the roof. You can see where the cut was made. You can actually just see the support rod I welded into those areas. But I'm not going to pay a lot of attention to that in there. I will, once I do the windows, I'll tint them pretty dark and you won't see that stuff. Rear view of the car and the rear window panel, getting to look pretty nice. Probably a little bit of a nick there I still need to do. I think at this stage over the whole body there were still some really minor things like that. I've got to tidy up a little piece here. The bottom edges of these still haven't been done correctly, but very, very minor work. Here's a side view and you can see that contouring the body here and the front of the door frame where the cut was made through the A-pillar has come up really good. We've almost got this done. You can just see a bit there where the filler piece was put in, but it's very good. It's come up really well, and you can see here that I've recut that gap at the back of the door. Another shot the other side, and really for the journey it's been on, you know, this has come up really well. You know, I was really pleased with it. Bit of work, but it was, you know, it was really good. It was a bit of work. From here, basically, it's only about doing the windows, which will simply be sort of cutting a template through the window frames here, applying that to the stock window pieces, and then sectioning them to get them to fit back in here. And paint. Now the windows and paint don't need to form part of this video. The video was all about the chopping the top, and we've achieved that. Finishing it off, we haven't achieved that yet, but if you were interested to come here and have a look and see how chopping the top was done, and how to bodywork with a ABS hard plastic car, then I'm sure you will have picked up enough by now to do your windows. That's going to be the easy bit. There's a bit of a curve in the front windscreen, but I don't think that's too much of an issue. The side windows are basically flat and the back windows flat, so it's just really a matter of getting the original windows to fit the upper areas and just trim them off the bottom such that you can't see where they've been trimmed along this bottom door edge and along the bottom of the window frame there, basically, and across the across the bottom here. The cut here will have to be pretty neat because the windscreen actually sits out front of the body. But that could be done, and then you know, you're going to paint a black frame around it anyway, a thin black frame, so that will look alright. I don't know, I think we can wrap up the video and call it done. We've achieved what we set out to achieve, and work still to be done on the body is extremely minor. If you if you haven't done body work as minor as what I've got to do on this, like you can see an edge here to be tidied up, and along here is a little bit, what looks like a little bit of a ding there and there. That's the extent of what's to be done going forward. And if you haven't done anything like that, then probably the roof chop, probably this custom build bodywork is probably not what you want to be doing yet. If you feel confident about doing what we've shown here in the video about chopping a roof or otherwise working with ABS plastic hard body plastic bodies, then you should be able to handle what I've got to do, and it doesn't need a video for that. So I'd say, look, if you got this far, thanks very much for sticking in there. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave any comments down below. Check out my Hunt Chassis Facebook page. There's a full build story on this and my other cars in there, and as I progress further on this with finer cosmetic touch up and the windows and the paint, I'll be posting up pictures there. Thanks and have a good day.